How is the US election going to impact the future of Canada? The US election is fast approaching, and as much as Canadians are watching the drama unfold south of the border, it's got us wondering, will this election influence our next one? With more than $3 billion in trade and countless sharp policies, the relationship between Canada and the US is like a domino effect. Today, we are diving deep into what could happen if Kamala Harris wins or if Donald Trump returns. What will be the ripple effects in Canadian politics? How will it change the way we vote? Canadians might be facing their own election within a year. And just like in the US, big issues are on the line: economics, trade, social values, and more. Could the outcome of the US election shift our political landscape? Over the past decade, we have seen how political pulse of the United States often creates ripples across Canada. From former Prime Minister Brian Mulroney's relationship with Ronald Reagan to the more recent connections between Justin Trudeau and the Democratic administration, history shows that as US politics shift, Canada often follows suit, sometimes going along and other times moving in the opposite direction. The upcoming election will be no different. The US race is heating up, with Kamala Harris and Donald Trump as the main contenders. Kamala Harris represents Democrats, hoping to continue Biden's progressive policies, and Donald Trump, who needs no introduction, is aiming for a comeback. But how could either win affect our politics here in Canada if Kamala Harris wins? Strengthening US-Canada relations. Let's start with Harris. If Harris wins, the general expectation is the closer collaboration between her administration and Justin Trudeau's government. This would not be surprising. When Harris first became vice president, Trudeau was reportedly her first call to a foreign leader. The two governments could align on major issues like climate change, healthcare, and tech regulations. Canadians who favor policies on green initiatives, healthcare access, and inclusive policies might see this as a positive continuation. NAFTA and trade dynamics. With Kamala Harris, the NAFTA agreement could get a boost, giving Canada a solid trade partner who values multilateralism. As a nation that trades billions with the US every day, stability in trade is a big deal for Canada. Economists believe that a Harris administration would likely avoid sweeping tariffs, which Trump previously imposed, and support a healthy trade environment. That is especially good news for provinces reliant on exports like Ontario and Alberta. This could stabilize their economies. Before we go any further, please like, subscribe, and share this video with your friends. Subscribing to my channel is not going to cost you anything, but it's going to help me big time. Now back to our topic. A Trudeau problem for Liberals. But there is a twist. A Harris win might also send a message to the Liberal Party. Change might be needed at the top. The Democratic Party, facing a steep uphill battle, swapped out their incumbent to strengthen their ticket. Would the Liberals consider a similar move? Justin Trudeau's approval ratings have been slipping, and if Harris's victory re-energizes the Democrats, the Liberal Party might see this as a model for their own strategy. Pollster Nick Nanos has pointed out that party confidence plays a huge role in election success. Without unity, Liberal voters might just start looking for other options, public sentiments, and values. Kamala Harris represents a progressive voice, and her policies could inspire similar movements in Canada. As Canadians see policies on social justice and equity being implemented in the US, we could see more support for parties championing these values in Canada too. This could create a shift, pushing even conservative voters to consider progressive policies if they see results south of the border. If Trump wins, economic tensions and tariffs. Now, let's imagine Trump wins. One of the biggest concerns is economic policy. Trump has already proposed reinstating tariffs on foreign imports, and this could directly affect Canadian industries like automotive and dairy, which are major exports to the US. With these tariffs, Canadian products would face a competitive disadvantage, impacting jobs and local economies across Canada. In Ontario and Quebec, where these industries are especially vital, the economic fallout could be huge. energy and climate policies. Trump has always been vocal about his stance on climate change policies. And if he wins, his rollback on climate regulations could create a friction with Canada. In the past, Alberta's oil industry has sometimes clashed with Ottawa's environmental policies. But with Trump's pre-oil stance, Alberta might feel emboldened to resist federal climate policies even more. A Trump presidency could empower conservative voices within Canada to push back on aggressive climate policies, possibly impacting the Green Party's platform and how much traction environmental issues get in the election. The Poilievre paradox. Trump's approach to politics, marked by a no-hold-barred style, has already influenced leaders worldwide, including Pierre Poilievre. Though different in some ways, Poilievre and Trump share similar directness. If Trump returns to the White House, Poilievre may find himself under more pressure to draw a clearer line between his brand and Trump's, appealing to moderate voters while retaining his conservative base. But here is the twist. Polling shows that Canadians see Poilievre as more capable than Trudeau in handling a Trump White House, especially when it comes to trade. This raises a question for Canadian Conservative Party. Should they lean into Trumpian style or moderate it? In key regions, a Trump-Poilievre connection could either solidify their base or alienate centrist voters. Border security and immigration policies. Trump's stricter border policies have always created ripple effect for Canada. Should he win, we could expect tighter U.S. border controls, which could prompt Canada to reassess its own immigration strategy. A surge of migrants seeking alternatives might find Canada more appealing. This issue could shape campaigns' narrative for all Canadian parties, with some advocating for welcoming policies, while others might push for stricter immigration controls. Impact on healthcare and social policy. Trump's presidency has long fueled debate over healthcare systems, especially with his opposition to expanding public healthcare. If his influence grows, Canadians could see discussions around our healthcare system heat up. Trump's stance could inspire more conversations in Canada about privatizing aspects of healthcare or introducing more cost-effective models. While healthcare is highly valued here, financial pressure might make some Canadians consider alternatives, leading parties to potentially reshape their healthcare policies. Canada's political shift, right or left? The US election is not just about who wins, but how their policies influence Canadian politics. In the UK, Australia, and throughout Europe, we have seen how political shifts inspire movements across borders. Canada is no exception. If the US goes further left or right, it might push Canadian voters to take up opposite values or embrace similar changes. Canada has seen a history of American political influence. For example, in the 1980s, Brian Mulroney's government took notes from Ronald Reagan's economic policies, advocating for free trade and privatization. More recently, Justin Trudeau's close relationship with the Obama administration brought a fresh liberal appeal to Canadian politics, emphasizing diversity, climate, and healthcare. Canadians have often adopted or reacted against these influences based on cultural alignment and the economy, polling signals, and voter sentiment. Polls reveal a complex picture. Nanos has found that Poilievre's conservatives are gaining traction, while the Liberals struggle to keep their support base engaged. This divide might deepen with the US election's outcome. If Canadians see stability in the Democratic leadership under Harris, centrist voters may lean towards Canadian parties that reflect similar values. Conversely, a Trump win could encourage a shift to the right as frustrated voters prioritize economics and security issues. Historically, Canadians have shown resistance to following the US trend directly, but economic pressures, job security, and social issues could alter that path. Trickle-down politics, a global trend. The impact of American politics is not just seen in Canada. Worldwide, the Trump era has influenced countries to rethink their policies on nationalism, economics, and immigration. In the UK, Brexit echoed similar sentiments, and right-wing populist movements have risen in countries like France, Germany, and Italy. Canada, with its unique identity but close ties to the US, stands at the crossroads. If Trump returns, his hardline policies could force Canada to brace for an influx of immigrants, adjust trade practices, and maybe even shift our own national identity. What will the future hold? The US election is not just an American issue. It's one that will affect Canada's future. Whether it's Harris pushing for progressive alliances or Trump championing a hardline stance, Canada's leaders will have decisions to make, and Canadian voters will face new choices. So, as the US races towards election day, remember, the outcome could shape more than just American policy. It could shape the very direction of Canadian politics. If you found this deep dive helpful, don't forget to subscribe for more insights into how global events shape our lives here in Canada. Will the US election change the way you vote? Let's talk about it in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching. Once again, please like and subscribe and share this video with your friends. I really appreciate your support. I'll see you in my next video now.